Hello and welcome to Boozy Book Reports, a simple podcast where we revisit childhood classics while drinking copious amounts of alcohol. We're your hosts, Beth
and Sam.
And this month we're reporting on The Face on the Milk Carton, first published in 1990 by Carolyn B. Cooney.
Yes.
I have to say that this has been on our reading list for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Last year we missed it completely. It is literally the last moment of the end of this month to get this out. And this was my Everest.
Yes.
I don't know why.
I struggled. So there have been very few books where we have been reading them, and I have gotten through a very small chunk and thought, oh my God, there's so much more book.
This one was it for me too.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is also, sort of, it is complicated by a few personal life changes that we've had. But yeah, the last thing I wanted to do was finish this damn book, which I think, spoiler alert, I guess, about how we feel about the thing.
About it. Yeah. But before we're going to get into the book and the juicy details of our lives, we're going to talk about the drinks.
Yes.
And we have 2 today. I'm excited for one.
Well, this is the Face on the Milk Carton. They're in school. This is very important. So we tried one drink is sort of pre-mixed is a funny way of saying it. For those of you who have either flown a Delta flight and know what a Biscoff cookie tastes like, or have bought the speculoos butter at Trader Joe's and then eaten the whole jar, there's these speculoos cookies. They're like spice cookies, and Trader Joe's made a speculoos beer, a cookie butter beer.
Yes, which I'm kind of excited to try because, I don't know, it looks interesting, and I saw it on TikTok a bunch.
Well, yeah, TikTok is obviously having an impact because not that there was any doubt of that, but I got the last 4-pack at the Boulder Trader Joe's. Nice. So, It was, and I thought, I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to drive to another town. I'm gonna have to drive across the metro area to go get this damn beer. But I got the last pack. So sorry, college kids. All right,
okay. So I have to crack mine.
Oh,
I know.
You fancy. I poured mine in a pint glass.
Oh, it smells interesting. It's fruity? Is that correct?
I have a feeling I know what this is going to taste like. All right, let's do it.
Okay.
Bottoms up.
Oh my gosh, it's awful.
I hate it. My brother-in-law would love Scott, number 1 fan. You will love this beer. This tastes like every shit Christmas ale. Sorry, I know you really like the heavy Christmas ales, Scott. They're very sweet and they're very syrupy, and I dislike them. Scott, you're going to get a 3-pack of speculoos beer when you come back to Colorado.
And anybody that visits my house in the next 6 months is going to get a can too. Wow.
It's so sweet.
The description says Imperial Golden Ale with toasted coconut, vanilla beans, and natural flavors. It's awful.
So if you like a Christmas ale, so around Christmas, there's always these heavy, dark, syrupy, sweet beers that are released, like Jubile Ale and stuff. I'm not a big fan. I like a crisper ale. I like a Mexican lager. I like or an IPA. But if you like that kind of beer, you will like this beer. That's what this is. It's like a lighter version of a Christmas ale. What's the ABV on this thing?
3.5.
Okay,
no.
If you like a
9.5.
There we go. That checks out.
There we go.
So it's not the 12.5 that you might get out of a Christmas ale, but it's up there. I guess Imperial, that makes sense. Ooh.
Wow, it just was real bad. I mean, I'm a Coors Light beer drinker if I'm ever going to drink a beer. I can't even remember the last time I had a sip of beer, and this was definitely not my jam. So
I'm still going to drink it because it's been a long week. But
I will not, because I will have to leave this podcast early. Okay, so we're going to drink something else.
Yeah. So we did our cookies.
Yes.
Now it's time to do our milk. So milk factors in quite heavily into this whole book. I mean, literally Face on the Milk Carton. And she loves her milk, and she is like lactose intolerant, but still wants to down some milk. I literally in my book wrote girls same. But yeah, me too. So we've made what's called, this is a classic cocktail. This is called the Brandy Alexander, which is basically booze chocolate milk. So it has brandy, which is it's kind of a sweeter, dark spirit. It has creme de cacao, which is like a liqueur, a chocolate liqueur. And it has cream. So it is rich and it is booze chocolate milk. So if you like something like a White Russian, without the coffee, this is kind of where that's headed. So yeah, let's
Okay.
try a Brandy
Yay.
Alexander.
It's horrific. You like it?
Yes, I love it. I
Okay.
knew I liked these.
I have a confession. I had to mix my own drink because Sam has vacated the area and we are doing this remotely. So it was my first time making a cocktail. And I also have COVID. And so when I went to make this drink, you had left me a lot of booze. And I
Yes.
thought I had everything.
No.
Except I didn't. I had the cacao.
Yeah.
And I realized, I don't have brandy. But then I looked at this app that I have that I scanned all of the liquor that you left me in. And there was a brandy in there, except it was cherry liqueur brandy,
Oh,
which I was
ew.
like, it has to be about the same. And it makes sense because she has red hair, so it fits. And then I didn't have cream because I'm a non-dairy person and I couldn't leave my house and I forgot about Instacart. So I just used my unsweetened almond milk, which is not the same.
Beth, no.
So Sam's is a beautiful, milky, creamy white. Mine is sludge brown. And
this is the
it's extremely different. And I will say it is not good. It is actually worse than the beer.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm
But
sorry.
I did do a good job shaking and doing all that stuff by
I'm
myself. So
proud.
that was exciting. I got my shaker cold enough and I put my glass in the chiller before I poured it in. So
I'm so proud of you.
yes. Yeah.
Oh, Beth, I'm proud of you.
Thank you. So
I do not know where my shaker is. And I made mine in a Yeti cup. So
perfect. So that explains some of the hot messiness of what this is going to be this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I changed school districts.
Yes, you did.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. We're making it work, but it is a very different vibe than just getting drunk in my office and talking about books.
I know. Kevin said, well, you at least don't have to drive home. You can finish all your drinks.
Yeah. So there's a bonus.
That's the only consolation. I miss you so bad. I'm missing you every day.
Same. So before we get into it, Sam's going to read the back of the book.
No one ever really paid close attention to the faces of the missing children on the milk cartons. But as Janie Johnson glanced at the face of the ordinary little girl with her hair in tight pigtails, wearing a dress with a narrow white collar, a 3-year-old who had been kidnapped 12 years before from a shopping mall in New Jersey, she felt overcome with shock. She recognized that little girl. It was she. How could it possibly be true? Janie can't believe that her loving parents kidnapped her. But as she begins to piece things together, nothing makes sense. Something is terribly wrong. Are Mr. and Mrs. Johnson really her parents? And if not, who is Janie Johnson? And what really happened?
I have a couple tidbits about this book, and then I want to talk about it because I'm not going to miss this book at all. In fact, I read this book a few months ago because we were going to record it earlier.
Sorry.
And I could not remember anything about this book, which is saying a lot. Fun fact, number 1, is that this book was number 79 on the most frequently challenged books in the U.S. for the 90s.
Really?
Yeah, because it talks about kidnapping and cults, and that's just too much for 90s America.
For our tender offspring.
Tender offspring. Also, there's 4 more additional books about this.
Yeah, okay.
It just keeps going.
That is one beef I had because I don't think it's a spoiler alert to say this ends on a cliffhanger, and that pissed me off. I was like, this is some bullshit.
I agree.
And I'm not reading 3 more books to find out.
No. Here's the thing. And this was my book choice. And the reason why I picked it is because in 1995, there was a made-for-TV movie starring Kelly Martin from Life Goes On, who was a huge 90s made for TV stars. She still makes them. Like Hallmark Christmas, you're going to see one of her movies. She made a lot of mystery on the Lifetime or the Hallmark Channel movies. I don't know. But I loved her. She
Yes.
was in this great movie with Tori Spelling about a true story about this girl. It's called Death of a Cheerleader. And it's about this girl named Angela who like murders her classmate. And again, it's based on this true story. It's so good. It was like prime 90s made for TV movie. So amazing. And I watched that movie a lot. So there's going to be bleed over between book and movie because they kind of melded. And the thing about the movie is about the first two books. So there's no cliffhanger.
Oh, so you know.
So
Oh.
So when I read the book, I was like, what is this crap? Like, why did I just read, 190 pages, which I don't think it was that many, but why did I read that many pages? And there was just like, not a
Yes.
lot of story.
I like had the thought about mid I listened to it as an audiobook while I was driving around doing some frisbee stuff. And I had the thought of not since Angus Thongs and Full Frontal Snogging have we had a book that was so big and conveyed so little.
So
Nothing
little.
happens. It's a lot of like internal monologue of just her being like,
Yeah.
Am I a bad daughter? Am I like girl,
Ugh.
no.
One trigger warning though for this is there's a lot of fat phobia and a lot of diet culture talk in this book,
Which in
which
my
makes sense. It's the
experience was true
90s.
to the 90s.
It's
Okay.
it's on brand.
Listen,
Um
my mom was a Dexatrim lady and she did jazzercise.
Oh my gosh. I was just telling somebody how when I was like, I don't know, 9 years old. So this is actually pre 90s, but my parents put me on a diet where all you ate in a day was cottage cheese, tomatoes, and I think you got 5 saltines.
My childhood says there's nothing wrong with this diet.
Yes. I mean, it didn't cause any trauma at all, any issues, but yeah.
Nope.
It didn't last very long, but it was something to be had. But again, this book starts off, I feel like it's a great, interesting story because it starts off with this girl named Janie Johnson and she's hanging out with her friends. She's just like, she has this beautiful red hair. She's just like an average
Yeah.
girl
She's
living
got
her
her
life.
crush. She has her
Yes.
friends. The friends have like dumb high school drama, but it's like the same stuff you had with your friends. It's totally like it's very believable. It's
Super
well
believable.
characterized.
Yes, and, like, I don't know what kids have today, but, like, we had milk cartons, like, the little milk cartons.
Yeah,
I don't know if
I
they
don't
have
know that.
bags. I know some school districts have, like, bags that you poke a hole in and drink the milk. I know.
Dude, are they
Um,
they better just playing slap the
slap
bag
slap
with
bag
some
with milk,
milk?
but they have these little milk cartons, and sorry, I'm having a flashback when we used to make milk carton gingerbread houses at Christmas using graham crackers,
Oh, yeah.
and it was, like, the best day ever. Now I'm thinking, though, how filthy was that we just had this, like, old used milk carton that we all touched, and it's fine, we survived.
Everything's fine. Yeah. It was for health.
So on one fateful day,
Yes.
Janie has a milk carton at school, or her friend has it, and she notices a picture of her on the milk carton.
Do you think that you would recognize a 3-year-old picture of yourself if you didn't know it was a picture of yourself?
I mean, I look exactly the same. Same little cherub, adorable face. So I will post a picture of me at 3 and you're like, that is her. That is
I
she.
I agree. I've shown you pictures of me as a kid. It's very clearly me. But like I don't know if I saw like the fuzzy ass milk picture, the like have you seen this from the
Yeah.
ads in the newspaper? I don't think I'd recognize myself.
I don't know. Like, especially in the 90s, the photo quality was so crappy. But again, like, I
Yeah.
don't know. I think that maybe she already had an inkling that something was off. In her gut, she might
In
have,
her subconscious.
yeah, something.
I just doubt that the dairy is using high resolution photography or printing on their
I
milk cartons.
would think not.
That's probably limited to 2 colors.
I would agree to that. Yes. I would agree to that. But for whatever reason, it sparks her and she just is like, oh my gosh, that's me. And it
Fine.
just causes her world to spiral. And again, like you were saying earlier, she really gets in her head about so many things.
Half this book is just in Janie's head, which I
Yeah.
actually don't mind. Like, there's a lot of books I really like. Like, Their Eyes Were Watching God has a lot of like internal monologue. Siddhartha is almost like literally
Yeah, that was a lot
internal.
of.
But
But it
she
moved the story
yes.
forward. This didn't necessarily move this story forward that much.
It was the same, like, 6 loops. Like,
Mhm.
is this me? Who are my parents? Am I a bad daughter? Did I trade in my family for ice cream?
And
Like,
so
I'm
on.
yeah, it's the
Does my
same
neighbor
story.
really love me?
Does
You
my
know?
neighbor wanna bang me when he clearly has said, "I want to bang you, Janie. Please stop thinking about your kidnapping and bang
And
me
yeah. Yeah,
at
it's
this
pretty much
gross
that.
motel."
Yeah. So we find out that Janie's parents are older. They are
Mhm.
older parents, for sure. She had moved to this town, again, next door to the hot boy, all American, cute boy. She had like a normal life, with these parents. It cracked me up because she's like, yeah, we're going to like cooking class or baking class, but I'm the only one under 40. You're like, okay,
Yeah,
fair.
the cake decorating, but they make, like that's
Yes.
another fat phobic moment where they, like, make this whole deal about, like, "Well, we can't eat the cake, but we might, but we not, and we're gonna feel bad," and the dad was like, "Oh, you're gonna get fat." Like, it's
Yeah.
just so
Yeah.
stupid.
No, they literally list out like there's a whole thing where they're talking about what's in the kitchen, like Oreos and donuts. I'm going to pass on all of that. I'm just going to have,
3
nothing.
almonds.
3 almonds and a glass of air, and I'm going to swallow a cotton ball. Anyway,
Janie's mom is an almond mom.
100% an almond mom from the 90s.
Yeah.
So Janie's like antsy. She's like 15 and a half-ish, and everybody's starting to take like driver's ed, and she wants to take driver's ed. So she's asking her mom, like, I need my birth certificate. And mom, in the movie, mom gets real upset and is like, basically, get out of my face, get out of my office. You're like, okay, overreaction much.
I would have preferred that.
Then, yeah, again, the movie was significantly better, more dramatic, and traumatizing. So we
That's
find,
what we're here for.
I know that's what
Childhood
it should
trauma that's
be.
not my own.
Yes. So, Janie searches their attic in the house, which I always wanted an attic that I could search. We had a garage I
No.
could search, which I used to love to go through, and I'd find like my parents' old stuff and like be reading like poetry that my mom wrote in high school. And just like it was probably super invasive and on their privacy, but I was just like all into that thing
Do you know
of
what
like
else you're gonna find?
spiders.
Spiders. Yeah, that's
Yeah, no,
exactly what I
thank
was
you.
gonna say.
Yeah,
No.
you're not that girl.
No, I'm not that girl. I'm not an attic girly. I'm not a crawl space girly. I am a
Definitely
stay
not crawl
on the
space.
main floor girly, and
Okay, that's
also
fair.
spray for bugs.
That's fair. Janie is a let's get up in the
Yeah.
business.
Janie's
And
like, "Let's cob some webs. Let's go."
yeah, and by this point too, she's starting to have flashbacks of being a little kid and like seeing someone. And she I well in the movie she remembers seeing a guy with a beard and like going for ice cream and different things. But she finds some paperwork for a girl named Hannah, which she didn't know
Yes.
about. And she discovers that her parents had a daughter named Hannah.
Yes. And, not only is Hannah just a daughter that isn't around anymore, Hannah is Janie's mom.
Yeah.
This is all revealed as
Well,
Janie confronts her parents.
Well, and it's great because basically we find out that one day Hannah just shows up with this little 3-year-old girl on their doorstep, and she had run away years before and joined a cult. Because what would a 90s book be without a cult? Just saying.
Listen, it's the swing back from the 70s and the 60s, like, we were all peace and love, and then everybody freaked out about it in the 80s when everybody swung more conservative, and of course, cult.
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 And cult. Okay. So Hannah was under the guise of the cult was after her, and she was worried about, the cult wanting Janie back. She leaves them with her parents, and then she's like, check you later.
Yeah, she's like, "This is the baby me and my mate had." That the mate phrase cracked me up
So
every time.
gross.
It was so gross.
Oh.
It also made me think of, like, a lot of smut books where they're like, "We're fated mates."
Oh,
I'm
can
like,
you
"Ugh."
please start introducing Kev to people? It's like, this is my mate.
Could you imagine if I did that? We
That'd be
occasionally
so
will
good.
jokingly, like, introduce each other as our emergency contact and our roommates
Oh, I like
just to
that.
see what people say. Um, but yes, I think I will introduce him at my to my new job as,
Perfect.
"This is
Yes.
my mate, Kevin." And
Yes.
then my
Please let me
friends
know
in the
what the
department.
instant reactions are.
Ugh.
So
Someone's
gross.
gonna upchuck their pizza.
So gross. So after it's revealed that Hannah was this cult member and that Janie was dropped off, Janie's like, I'm at peace now. My parents aren't kidnappers. Like,
Yeah, I'm
it's
just gonna
fine.
ignore
Everything's fine.
these flashbacks. I will continue to ignore.
Yeah. And she does that for a few chapters, and then she just is struggling to remember the picture. And so she starts doing research. And I loved it because, like, in the movie, she goes to the library and is looking at the films. Like, did you
Yeah.
ever do this? Were
Oh,
you young
the
enough?
microfilm? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh, Kids today might not know this, but back in the day, they would take the newspapers and put them on basically like film that you could scroll through at the library to read old newspapers and do research. How people ever found anything, I'll never know. Because you had to just be
No.
like, I think it happened in May of, 1976 and just start scrolling.
Reading everything that happened from May of
Yeah.
1976 on. Yeah, so is this before or after she goes on the road trip?
I can't remember because, again, the movie has clouded my judgment. In the movie, she does the research first and she finds out what town she was kidnapped from.
Oh.
And then
Oh,
she
yeah.
convinces the boyfriend to
You're right,
drive
you're
her to
right.
that town to stake out the house.
Yeah, so she realizes it's New Jersey, and then she
Mm-hmm.
goes and they drive to New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
The road trip to New Jersey, I was listening to this while driving around town, cracked me up. Honestly, this is the only part of the book I really enjoyed. I enjoyed Thelma and Louise go to New Jersey.
It was
to
kind of the song that never ends.
Yeah, they like really described a lot about like Reeve, the boyfriend's driving, and like
Mm-hmm.
that they really liked each other, but like Janie kept getting distracted because she would oscillate between like, oh my god, he's so hot. I was kidnapped. Oh, he's so hot. Kidnap. And it was just that
Mm.
constant loop. Yeah, look at the beautiful watch, and his arm hairs are so hot. Kidnap. And then just like the whole time.
It's
And the
too.
whole time he is the most 17-year-old boy about it. He's like,
Oh, yeah.
so it's like we go bang?
Mm-hmm.
Are we gonna bang about this? Like
Mm-hmm.
he's like he is supportive,
Kind of, yeah.
but he also
He's a little
very
bit like,
much
"Too are
wants to
you not
bang.
over this yet? Like,
Yeah,
am
no, the
am
whole
I
time.
not enough of you to distract you? To not think about the fact that maybe you've been kidnapped and lied to your whole life and torn from a family and you're having horrible flashbacks of someone now that you think was in a cult. So that's also in your head that I was a cult baby.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
you
And
okay?
you could. So like we gonna bang
Mhm.
now, right? It's so like when he's driving, they're driving back, and she's like, "My parents are gonna be worried. We're coming back so late. Oh my god, they probably think we went and had sex in a motel." He's like, "Well,
Mhm.
we can do that." That's like his response.
I
He's like,
mean,
"That'd be pretty cool."
that's fine. I'd be okay with that.
And they're gonna think it like we might as well do
Oh
it.
gosh.
The whole
Oh.
time he's like, "How, Janie, is my dick not curing you
Mhm.
from your traumatic event of finding out that your family is not at all what you thought it was?"
Yeah. And when they drive to New Jersey, they find the family.
Yeah,
And
she
it's
sees them
very
all.
clear because they all have fiery red hair like her. And then she
Exactly.
freaks out,
Yeah, and then
which
surprise,
fair.
surprise, doesn't want to bang. But then there's this weird like comment where she's like, the author's like, if the hotel wasn't as gross as it was, they might have banged. And
Oh my
I just
gosh.
started laughing.
It's like calm down. Like stay focused, please. Like first of all, this book was actually said in one place I was doing some research about it. It said it was a thriller. And I was like, this is the most slow burn thriller I've ever read in my life.
Yeah, I think I had like 0 degrees of thrill. Let me
Mhm.
the only thrilling part was again when he was like, "So we gonna bang?" And I was like, "Sir, get your shit. Not the
Oh my
time, Reeve.
gosh.
Get the hose."
So in the movie, and again, I
Mhm.
apologize because that's where my heart lives with that movie. She's
Correct
conflicted a
place.
lot to call this 1-800 number on the back. Like she's very conflicted. She wants to call. She wants to call. She writes a letter to the family and is like pours her heart out and then loses it at school and freaks out because
Mm.
she's so
Mhm.
afraid somebody's going to post it because it was for whatever reason she addressed it and just had it ready to go.
She stamped it, I guess, too. She
Yeah,
was
she was like, uh, I, I we'll just see what happens. And she freaks out so much that she goes and asks the parents, like, oh my gosh, I know the truth. Like, this is the letter. What should I do? Like, she confronts them about everything she's learned.
Yeah.
And they're shocked because this is the first they're hearing.
Well, also, like, she calls the sister, right? So Reeve's sister is,
Oh,
like, in
yes,
school
yes.
to be a lawyer. And
Yes.
so she's like, the only person who will know how to deal with this deeply complicated situation is the law student in the family.
The second year
And
law student. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the second year law student shows up to do some pro bono work when all her brother wants to do is pro bono work.
Oh,
And
gosh.
it was right there. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, so she shows up to, like, help out, but she kind of is the voice of reason. Lizzie, the sister that everyone hates,
Mm-hmm.
she's kind of the voice of reason.
Yeah, because everybody's acting a fool. Basically, that's kind of where the book ends.
Yeah, so
It's
they
just
all get
like,
together, they call, and then that's the end. They're like,
that's the end.
hello?
Yeah. So I'm going to take over from here to tell you how it really ends,
Oh, thank
which is in
God,
the
because I'm not reading
1995
it.
Kelly Martin movie. So halfway through the
I'm
movie.
sorry. I heard masterpiece. I heard
It's so
Kelly
good.
Martin masterpiece.
It's so good. And it's free on YouTube. Just saying. Let's have a resurgence, please. But in the film, she like is freaked out about the letter. She tells her parents about the letter, and like she shows her mom the milk carton, and the mom like is freaking out, like, oh my gosh, and calls the 1-800 number and then shoves the phone into the daughter, and the daughter's like, I can't do it. And she's like, you have to do it. And again, like a normal healthy parent would be like, hey, this is what's going on. No, makes the 15-year-old call, and she's like, I think I was kidnapped. And then they figure out, yes, she was kidnapped.
So who kidnapped her? Was it the mom or was it Hannah?
It was Hannah. So Hannah did kidnap her. So
Okay.
the mom that raised her daughter did kidnap her. She was part of a cult. She ended up leaving that cult and became a prostitute, and then died of hepatitis, because that is the pipeline.
As one does.
Yes. And then again, I don't know how close the movie matches book 2, but basically like the family's so happy. Her family of origin is so excited to like that she's alive and whatever. And so she has to move back in with them. And she has an older brother and a younger sister. And there's just all the discourse about moving schools. Again, they did not
So
handle it well.
she leaves, like, Reeve and all those guys behind?
Yeah, traumatized. Like leaves
Ugh.
like has like a no contact order with her, like the parents that raised her. Like it's so messy.
That's, like, not their fault, though.
Yeah, she's super struggling, and then like her family of origin is super struggling, and there's a lot of like fighting and just like people getting upset, and eventually like the boyfriend gets to come and visit and asks to take her to prom, and of course he wants her to stay the night because like, the prom
So
lasts so long, she'll have to.
we gon' bang.
Yeah. And basically what happens is like she gets so fed up with everything. She runs away from family of origin. Big brother finds her. They go back. Everybody's happy she's safe. And then birth mom takes her back to the family that raised her, and is like just telling her how much she loves her. And they have a big conversation because
And then what, like, turns her out on a country road? Like,
basically turns her out to the family that raised her so she can go back and live with them and be happy. But they have a really good conversation about like, the daughter's very upset, thinking that she somehow left her family and did something wrong. And the mom is like, I should have been watching you. And I was just frozen when you were gone, and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like this whole thing. And then it's over.
I think that's actually what really pissed me off. There was like a lot of like her own victim blaming. She's like blaming herself as a 3-year-old. She's like, I traded my family in for an ice cream sundae.
It's
I
like,
really was angry during like reading that. I was like, and Reeves just, Reeve kind of tries to talk her out of it. But she really does try to blame herself for it. And
oh
in
yeah.
a way that, like, I can't imagine is helpful. If somebody who actually is a kidnapping victim is like,
No, especially a 3-year-old. Like,
yeah,
what?
but like Reeve even says something. It's like 3-year-olds know how to use the phone. 3-year-olds know how to call.
Thanks, Reeve. No, they don't.
And he said something about, well, you were having fun, and that's why you were easily distracted. But yeah, I think I
I don't know.
really struggled with this one. This one really, like,
It was challenging.
Yeah, this one was not my favorite. I think we've had some other books that have been lovely. This one was like kind of a slog to get through because there's so much of it was like again the same three, like 3 to 5 mental struggles. And
Yep.
then it just like the boyfriend, like I know that she's trying to show the like okay, not to get too like deep into it, but there is this like juxtaposition between this like deeply traumatic event and then wanting to be a normal teenager. And so I
Mhm.
think that a show like Dairy Girls does a really good
Mhm.
job. If you've seen it, have you seen the show Dairy
Mhm.
Girls?
Yeah, yeah.
That does like such a good job of showing the like these somewhat conflicting desires to like handle these really traumatic events but also still be young and still be a teenager and still just like enjoy life and do all the things you do when you're young. This felt such a like a ham-fisted attempt at that because the
Mhm.
whole time it was like Janie's panicking, Janie's having a meltdown, Janie's like having a full-on like psychotic break, and
Mhm.
then they're like she's like but she also has a crush. It was
Mhm.
just so ham-fisted. It
Yeah.
drove me nuts.
Yeah. I'm pretty good at remembering stories and books, and again, I don't remember much of the story from the book, only from the movie.
That's
I did
because there's,
take
like, 3 plot points to remember. There
I
was
did have
Milk
a
Carton. There was kidnap. They did not do it in the motel.
and there
Ca
was
a
no
phone call.
resolution.
No
No
resolution. 1 phone
resolution.
call and no resolution. This book is hard.
Harsh. So, a couple things I wrote down that I was interesting to me. The song "Runaway Train" by Soul Asylum that kept playing in my head towards the end of the book, and that song, I would cry when I would watch that song, and I would think about the kids that were featured because they were all. So it's this song where they're talking about
Oh.
runaways,
Mhm.
and they're showing all these pictures of kids, and they happen to all be runaways, and
Oh, I've never seen the
it's
music video.
oh my gosh, it's incredible, and I just would weep when I watch it thinking about where are those kids now and blah, 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 and, I also, like because of that, I got a fascination when I was younger with the, missing and exploited children's website where you could go look up, like, every kid that has been reported missing, and I actually went back on there, in the last few days, and I was looking up just all the kids in Washington. It was just incredible to see how many people missing from, like, 2 days ago to, like, 20 years ago, and then I just did a search because you can search every state, county, era. I searched back. They had someone on there, and they were, estimated age now was 100 years old. Like, that was the oldest, and it was just like, you know,
Yeah.
just the thought of, like, there's just hundreds of people that are out there that, people, are still looking for them, and
Yeah.
it's just so weird to think about, that aspect of kidnapping. I think on the flip side, the cult that they mentioned and I think that there was cult panic was so real in the 90s and 2000s. I feel like trafficking panic is so real now with people thinking that
Yeah.
they're going to get trafficked and their kids are going to get taken from a Costco with them and like,
Yeah.
there's a big discourse on TikTok right now between like these kind of battling factions of moms where there's moms that are saying like, "Oh my gosh, I was at the Walmart and someone followed me and they were trying to take my kid." And then there's the moms that are like, "That's not really how trafficking works. Like they don't go after targets like you typically because your face is going to be everywhere and nobody wants that." And just
Yeah.
the back and forth and then the people that make stuff up. Like I've seen several women that have literally said like there's not a famous but an infamous woman that like she said that this Hispanic family was following her. She's a white lady, and this couple was following her, and she's saying that they were like looking at her daughter and da da da, and gonna try and kidnap them. And they looked at the footage, and it's just like it's just this like couple just like checking out groceries at a self checkout, like not even just in their own world. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that panic is so dangerous.
Yeah. The paranoia is not a good place to be.
No,
I
especially since
think
like I mean, most kidnappers are not stranger abductions.
yeah,
It's
they're
family. It's someone you
family
know.
members. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the cult they actually they named the cult by name, right? They named the Hare Krishnas. I like thought they were just like the George Harrison homies, like yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't realize I don't think it was just super beefed up. There are real cults that like,
Are
really
predatory.
yeah, I didn't think that was the but maybe, I don't know. It was such a weird
No, I
thing.
don't know. I think they use a different name in the movie probably because they didn't wanna get sued, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was like Children of the Light of the First Order or something like that, which sounds culty, that
Sure.
sounds
That sounds about
like,
right.
okay, yeah,
Yeah,
you're gonna
if
you're
somebody
gonna
asked me to
go give
join
all your
that,
money to someone, and you're gonna live in a
yeah,
commune and, like, yeah,
they're
probably end up
gonna deny you
taking it.
protein.
Yes, and then at some point, the profit is gonna become like, "You know what? I need to marry everybody. I need to marry everybody. You're already married. I'm sorry. I'm gonna marry everybody."
It always ends with a mass marriage and then some other bad shit. Like,
Bad stuff.
it's always like,
But it's
yeah.
so fascinating. It's so
Oh,
fascinating.
yeah, like, there's the SNL skit about the watching murder shows, and then there's one about, "Have you heard about cult shows? Cult shows, different kinda cult shows." And that's like, I'm not into the murder shows, but I will watch a cult show. It
There's
this
some
the
doozies out there.
Yeah, the psychology of them are super fascinating.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
Even outside of, like even in fandom, when you kind of cross over in fandom to, like, cult is
Yeah.
fascinating to me. Like, I'm on Disney adult TikTok, which I'm not a Disney adult. I don't know how I got there. But especially I've been sick for now a few days and like I'm just like bored at night because I can't go anywhere or do anything. And I'm just scrolling TikTok and I'm on like pin opening videos, which are like enamel trading pins that people get that are Disney themed. And they're sets
No,
and they're like mystery packs. And I'm
put it
watching
away.
them and I'm like, what is happening here? And the way people are acting, some of them are insane. And I'm just like, okay, like this is to me is a little bit extreme. It's
I
like
mean,
on the
yeah,
edge of being fanatic.
everyone has their vibe, right? Everyone has their jam. Everyone has their,
There's no judgment
basket of
here.
fancy. We're not here to yuck yums. But
But there's a point when a yum becomes a are you sure about that? Are have you gone one step too far? Just in your expression of
yeah.
your yum.
And like I will say as an ADHD person, I'm full in on going hard down the rabbit hole on something. But like
Mhm.
there is a point at which yeah, it's too much.
It's too much. So, I did a bad thing once when I was a kid. I did many bad things.
You joined a
But,
cult.
I almost actually did join a cult. That's a story for another day. But when I was maybe like 9 years old, 8 years old, my mom and dad got invited to an Amway party presentation at our next door neighbor's house, which it was very 80s. It was a whole thing. Which talk
Go
about
on.
I mean, I'm not saying Amway's a cult. However, there are some tendencies.
It's definitely a Ponzi scheme, right? It's definitely a
It's
triangle
it's
pyramid
a
scheme.
it's a pyramid thing for sure, but they also it's very like they get you in and it's very part of the community and there's all kinds of ways people try to like
We're
pull
not
you
just a
in.
job, we're a family.
A little bit. So my
Yeah.
parents go to this and I'm watching my brother just for like a half an hour at the house. So I'm 8 or 9, so my brother is 3ish. And same age as Janie. And we're playing in my bedroom and I just remember there was this big picture of my parents and me on the wall. And I was looking at the picture. I'm like, you know that you're adopted, right,
Oh
Jake?
my
You
god.
know that mom and dad are not your real parents. They're my real parents. And I proceeded to tell him this whole thing about how he was adopted and whatever. And then I don't know what happened in my brain, but then I was like, mom and dad are gone. They're never coming back. And so then I convinced both of
You're
us
an
that our parents were
asshole!
dead.
Oh
Yes.
my god!
So I just remember my parents opening the door and my brother and I were just sitting in the room crying,
You bought
crying.
into your own damn lie?
I was my own cult leader, yes. So I honestly don't know if those happened at the exact same time or around the same time, but that's my memory is when I think back to like my earliest memories, it was like telling my brother that. It was I remember one time I flew through the house. I must have been like 3 years old. And I just remember being by the popcorn ceiling, and just like having my hands out and just flying to my bedroom. I mean, was my dad carrying me to bed because I fell asleep in the living room? No, I was flying.
I like
Oh
your
my
vivid
gosh.
imagination slash
Oh,
memory. It's good.
my memories are like on point. What's one of your first like recollections that you have?
Oh god. The first like national event I remember was the Oklahoma City bombing. I
Oh,
remember
okay.
watching that on the news. But, like, my first memory is probably, like, watering dogs out of my grandma's, like,
Okay,
I was
that's
old
fair.
enough to hold a milk jug, so I
So
was put
3
to
or 4.
work. Yeah, I was, like, 3 or
Yeah.
4. I was like, well,
Mm.
they were like, "Cut that one out. That one's ready to go out to pasture. That one's ready to go out and work."
Hey, farm life, man.
It's rough. We've talked about this
Mhm.
before. Farm life's hard life. Yeah, I think those are, like, my first memories are, like, doing chores with my pops
Mhm.
around the
That's good though.
farm.
Those are nice memories.
They are actually, they're quite
Yeah.
pleasant.
Memory's a weird thing. I
Uh,
love a good flashback though. I love it when I'm like, I smell something or eat something or experience
oh,
something and I just
yeah.
get taken back to a memory I haven't thought about in eons. And it's just like, oh, the brain is so weird.
It's super weird. There's, like, one of the Bath and Body Works sprays that will, basically, it's like a freesia scent or something like that, and it will take me straight back to the girls' locker room in Bennett,
Hmm.
Colorado. Just, like, every so often, like, especially if I go to Bath and Body Works, I'm like, "Nope, that's middle school, and that's unfortunate.
Oh,
That's bullying." So,
oh
but no,
no.
but it really, like, there's a couple of those scents. There's, so sometimes at the place I used to work and the place where Beth works still, they will shove a bunch of high school interns in an office that's far too small for all of them, and it gets kind of a dank smell. Every time I walk by, it's just like that's the third floor of the of my college dorm where all the guys who played like video games and FIFA
Mhm.
soccer all the time. That's like every time I'd walk past that room, that would just take me straight back to college. The third
Good
floor of
times.
Aiden Hall, baby. Substance free dorm.
I mean,
Anyway,
okay.
cheers.
Wow.
Cheers
Cheers to you.
cheers to the
Okay.
substance-free dorm.
So, what are we rating this? I honestly, I'm gonna have to rate it like, one spilt, spoiled milk carton.
Once I had some vegan sugar-free ice cream, and it was the worst non-dairy dairy product I'd ever had, and this is
Uh-huh.
that. This is
Uh-huh.
we called it sadness cream. That's what
Yeah.
this is. I
Yeah.
this
It just
I had
didn't do anything for me.
I know,
But
and
the movie
I
was
had
so
hopes.
good.
I had
Yeah.
high hopes, but no, it was yeah, I hit through like the first 3 chapters and was like,
It's gonna be
"Sweet
rough.
baby Jesus, I need to finish this book." And so
Wow.
I listened to an audiobook on like 1.8 speed.
Mhm.
It's
I
free
I
on
did
Spotify.
I did try to listen to it on Spotify again to refresh my memory, and I did it at, like, a 2-point speed, and it still wasn't I couldn't get through it fast enough, so I just stopped. But again, I can't the movie to me is for a made-for-TV movie, it's a 4 out of 5, like, stars. It's
Listen.
peak '90s wigs, it's
Oh, yeah.
because red hair, like,
Fair enough.
there's some famous faces in there. It's
Dude, just
free. It's a great 90-minute watch. I'm here
masterpiece
for it.
theater. I'll watch it. I'll
Yes.
watch it this weekend maybe.
Yeah, it's a great, just have it on while you're cleaning your kitchen movie, and it's just,
Oh.
like, the drama that comes up at moments, you're just like, "This is so unnecessarily dramatic." I'm here
That
for
was
it.
I would have killed for that. I would have
Yeah.
killed for, like, some unnecessarily dramatic parents because, like, there was just a lot of, like, mutual weeping. There
Yeah.
was a lot of, "We don't know where one tier ends and the other tier begins," which granted, get it, yeah, you're like, this is a very traumatic event, but, like, ugh, the writing killed me. Anyhow,
And she's written,
yeah,
like, 8,000 books.
sadness cream. This is
Like,
sadness cream for me. I
so
don't
many
want it.
books.
You think it's
So,
gonna be good, and it's not.
it's just not, so but I think our book for next month, for September, I think it's gonna be great. It's one of your picks. It's very short. Do
Is
you
it
remember what it
Sideways
is?
Stories?
Yes!
I'm so excited. It's Sideways Stories at Wayside School by Louis
Yes.
Sacker.
Yes. So,
Yay.
I'm super excited to read it because, again, it
Oh,
looks short, it looks fun. I just need something
it's
light and good.
this is it. And I hope it's as good as I remember because I just remember as a kid just laughing and laughing at how silly this book was. I loved it.
Mhm.
There's like a couple of them. There's like more Sideways Stories, but this and like the show Recess were
Mhm.
like
Oh, I freaking love
comedy.
Recess.
It was so good.
Recess was so
Comedy
good.
gold. Comedy gold.
So good.
All right. Well, I've got high hopes.
Here for it.
So
So,
I think,
yay.
yeah,
Yay. So
this
excited.
is gonna be
I
good.
already feel better after reading this.
Yeah, we get like a chill book, a chill school book. So yes, now that I've changed school districts, we can do some more
We can
school
celebrate.
books. I don't want to celebrate that. It's sad.
Okay, just kidding.
If you're enjoying Boozy Book Reports and would like to support the show, you can share episodes with your friends and family, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Boozy Book Reports, or leave us a positive review and rating. All of those things help us grow. Our theme music was created by the Finley Ghost. Check out their latest album now. Thank you and happy reading.